every time.
Hey, Weirdos, it's me, Dan.
And Jake.
So,
What's up, home
quite-
slices?
word. I've taken to saying word a lot. I'm not really sure what it means. I hope it's not like a bad word.
No, I think it's good. I think it's good. It's like hi,
word up.
word to your mother.
Yeah, I say it as like yes as well. They're like, "Hey, Dan, do you agree with that?" And I'm like, "Word."
Yeah. Just let me appropriate some culture. Word. Word, homie.
Well, I'm just.
That's
so
popular
hip.
these days, right?
I'm just so hip.
Yeah.
What can I say? Well, I've had life experiences, and
what's going
I mean, it's not like the good kind where like we tried something new, you know.
Oh.
Well, we did try something new. It was just a near-death experience for me. So you know how you and I go on our dirt bikes back home, and we cruise around. We go on some trails.
Quite
And
leisurely.
those trails, yeah, like leisurely. Very rare do you have to really sit up on the pegs.
We've
very
gotten
rare,
stuck
yeah.
in the mud and stuff, but it's not
Oh,
life.
mud, yeah, and it's like nice flat, wide trails that we're doing with like the occasional rut, and you kind of go, whoa,
Yeah.
that's a little bit slick. So I thought, oh, you know what? Elijah's really into this dirt biking. I love dirt biking. Let's do a family trip to a dirt bike park, which there are many of around here. I guess
They're like
because
a
it's
racetrack, are they? Like a dirt
well,
bike?
it's like a racetrack. They've got like motocross tracks and stuff like that you can go
That
on.
sounds like fun.
Well, no, it's of no interest to me, and also I don't think my bike would survive any sort of jump with me on board.
It just goes slow.
It would just collapse.
Like,
but,
yeah,
I mean,
these were
people
built for people 100 pounds less than you.
People are like flying through the air on these. Like some of them are like trials bikes, but some of them are like proper, you know,
Motocross bike.
big motocross bikes. And most of them are 2 strokes. There's a few 4 strokes going around, but you know the 2 strokes are a bit lighter, and you get the same amount of power.
Yeah.
So we chose this place because it had trails, and I was like, awesome. Elijah and I will spend all day on the trails. It's going to be a joy.
Is the park by any chance called Bogan Heaven?
Fuck, there were so many mullets. I can't even describe to
love
you.
it. I love
I thought it
Australia.
I thought it was a joke. Like they're like, hey, you know, we've been in quarantine. We've got long hair. Let's
Cut it into a mullet.
cut it into a mullet for the dirt bike park. I don't think that they were coordinated enough to get everyone involved that went to that park.
It really was Bogan Heaven.
It was like even the kids had mullets. It was something else. But
Since I learned that
everyone was
word
nice.
Bogan, I've been using it a lot. I
Yeah,
love that
well,
word.
I mean, yeah, they were. It was like they were bogans. There were a lot of bogans.
And it's not
So
an
the-
insult. It's not an insult.
No,
It's,
no. I mean,
I'm a
if
bogan.
You've got if you've got a mullet, mullet, you know you're a bogan. You know.
if you squill your tires on purpose when you're
Oh.
like taking off at a stoplight, like I do, then you're a bogan.
You know you're a bogan. You know you're a bogan.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so this other family that we went camping as well. This was my very first camping experience.
Yes,
in
how'd the
Australia.
chair work out?
Oh my fuck! It was the best part of the whole fucking trip.
So
Let me
worth
tell
it.
you. It was the best investment I've
Never
ever
got out of
made. No, I did, unfortunately. Well, okay, so the first night we arrived. Okay, so I had to pack the trailer. I had to put the bikes in the trailer. And the whole time I was shitting bricks that I'm not an engineer. I don't know what I'm doing in
Right.
life, let alone like mechanics of keeping things upright that only
Yeah, it's really
have-
hard, isn't it? To keep the
like
bikes
have a
in-
10 centimeter diameter to sit on.
Yeah.
So that actually went okay. And in fact, Aaron decided to park on a cliff face sideways, and they still didn't fall. So I was pretty chuffed with that. Then we got there, we unloaded, we put our tents up, and we went for the very first day. It was sunny and hot as shit. So I got a sunburn. like within the first 10 minutes. I've been inside for 4 months.
Like a hole in the ozone layer style Australian sunburn.
Yeah.
It kind of invariably ends up in basal cell carcinoma.
The family we went with, he owns his own business, but he does pretty well for himself. And he's built himself this, like, when I say built himself this trailer that's like a motorcycle trailer and a camp trailer combined, I'm not talking like some hodgepodge job. It's like, it looks like it was manufactured. It's amazing. Anyway,
he built it out of an existing motorcycle trailer and house trailer.
No, he built it from plans that he bought on the internet. But his like profession is that he laser cuts steel. So
okay, well, he'd probably be a lot handier than us.
Oh fuck yes, yeah, like times a million. But when I say he made it,
I can make this out of wood, right?
Yeah, people imagine that it's going to be hodgepodge, but no, it's like high spec. Anyway, so they rocked up with that towed behind them in their big fancy truck, and we rock up in our 2005 piece of shit 4-wheel drive and this box trailer that I've piled everything into and put a cargo net over the top so the shit that I didn't tie down well enough doesn't fly into someone else's car. Anyway. So that's the family that we're dealing with. They've got all new bikes. He's got the same bike as me.
They ride dirt bikes?
Okay. They ride dirt bikes. So that's why we went together.
Is that how you met this guy?
No. They were friends. Their kids go to school. Aaron goes to their wife's boot camp.
Oh, okay.
So they've got all these brand new bikes. He's got the same bike as me, but 10, maybe 15 years newer.
Yeah.
The one that I've got.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, let's go. We've only got a half day. I had no idea how long these trails were. They're called enduro trails. So, I had my little water pack on and stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. And so we started off. The water pack fell off my bike before I even left the campsite. So I was
Did you notice?
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, fuck it. I'll just leave it here. It doesn't matter. So then we went, and it was
your drinking water. You left your drinking
water. My drinking water. Yeah,
on a hot day in Australia, you were like,
yeah, no, who needs this? Yeah, because people were going.
It's not like I'm on a bicycle.
No, exactly. And I had envisaged what you and I do. So I was like, yeah, we don't take water. We're out for hours. And the sand that we were riding on was like powder, like what you would imagine. I can't even explain it, the fineness of this sand, and it was deep. So that's how we started off, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a challenge. This sand is slippery. We go under this tunnel under the highway, and we're like, hey, do we want to go left or right? I was like, I don't know, let's go left. And we went left. Little did I know that this trail was the hardest trail on the entire mountain.
This is like that scene in The Temple of Doom when the kid tells Short Round that he has to go right, take the right tunnel. When you escape, take the right tunnel. And then they're heading towards it. And he's like, take the right tunnel. Dr. Jones, right tunnel. Goes left.
Yes. Oh, like it started out really nice. Like I was like, oh yeah, like this is going to be a great weekend. Like it was like leafy, and there was like it was a 1 tire thick rut at some stage, and that was like the most challenging for the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then like a gradual incline to the point where my friend, we stop and we are looking at what looks to me like a cliff face, like a wall.
A sheer cliff, yeah.
Like, I was just like, oh, did we take the wrong turn?
I don't think we're on a trail.
And his bike is loud, my bike is loud. He's like, okay, I'll go first. And I was like, all right. So off he goes, bring, all the way up. And I was like, what?
What the fuck am I doing?
What the fuck? Had I known that there were going to be hill climbs, I would have like YouTubed the shit out of that and found out, oh, this is how you do a hill climb. Yeah. But no, I was like, okay, I'm just going to go slow and steady. Slow and steady. That seems to be what wins the race, right?
Not in a hill climb.
Boy.
As it turns out.
Was I wrong? So I got like a quarter of the way up. Yeah. And I get my front wheel gets stuck in like between a rock and a hard place, like the bottom of the rock and the top of the rock. So it's just like I'm trying to go up a wall.
I think I saw a video of this.
It was the worst experience of my life. And I was like, oh no. And my bike stalls.
Yeah,
and
as it does.
I hit the front brake, and of course I'm on the loosest, most finest sand known to man. So immediately I start sliding backwards, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? So
just jump off.
I tried. Well, I did jump off, but then
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'll just back it up a little bit. And then it fell on me, of course, because it's 200 kilograms, because it's from 2005. And it's got like all these modifications on it to keep it cool. And I was like, oh God. So I had to push that up. And then I must have flooded the engine or something, but I tried to start it again. And
Is it a
was like,
kickstart or an electric start?
It's thankfully both.
Okay.
But it was like, ba-dee, 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 and I'm like on this cliff face trying to get this bike to start. And I hear it go, ba-dee, ba-doo, ba-dee, ba-doo, ba-doo. I'm like, oh no. Oh no. And so my friend parks his bike up at the top of the hill, walks all the way down. He's not in like much better shape than me.
Okay.
He's just got more money.
Yeah.
And
money buys you better boots.
Better boots,
more comfortable clothes,
better, like more ventilated gear. I'm like the armor that I was wearing is called roost armor. So I didn't know this at the time, but it's really just for rocks
motocross.
kicking up at you.
Yeah, that's motocross armor.
And it was just solid pieces of plastic sandwiched my chest and my back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got some.
Jet black. So I'm sitting there going,
I mean, I'm dumb, but I bought the clear.
Oh my God. I am so hot. I am scared shitless. Like, I was like, oh my God, this is hard. So he walks down. He's like, oh, we're just going to have to push it up to like that flatter area. And I was like, okay, man. He's like, I'll get behind it. I'll push. You steer. And I was like, okay. So he's pushing behind me, and I'm like, trying to get this fucking bike up a mountain. It weighs so much. I thought for sure, I thought I was going to puke at this stage. And he said, look, if you puke, it's okay. Just don't puke on me. So I was like, okay. And then we get it up to where I can start it again. And I had to kickstart it. And I got up to a little bit more of a way. It stalled again. We went through the same process, and we finally got to the top of the mountain. And I was like, oh my God, like I can't do this. I'm so hot. He was like, okay, let's go. He was all keen to keep going. And I was like, okay, I guess we'll do that. So we kept going. And then I fell over in a rut, and I just like skinned my knee, but that wasn't a big deal. And we kept,
you're almost 40.
We kept going, and I was like, oh, that was terrifying. And he's like, okay, let's go up this next trail. And I was like, oh my God, man. But I didn't want to seem like a wuss, because he's like super manly and shit. So I was like, okay. And he's just like flies up this other hill climb.
Yeah, you gotta just hammer it like right off the rim.
And I was like, okay, I got it this time. Like I stood there and I really had to psych myself up. And he did this like the get-go and the big winding arm, like, come on, you got this. And I just fucking gave her, and I got up that one. But the whole time I can hear my chain going, slap, 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 slap.
Because you don't know how to adjust it.
I don't know how to adjust the chain tension. So I'm just like, please, fucking God, don't let this chain fail. Or I cannot be stuck on the fucking mountain.
Or have the valves that have never been shimmed all of a sudden just blow out.
Just give out.
The top end.
So I got up to the top and I was like, yes, I did it. And then we kept going. We were having a good time by then. And then we got down to the bottom, and he was like, oh, look, let's just try this last one. And I was like, okay, man. But like, that feeling like you're going to puke.
I really
like,
shouldn't do this because I'm too tired.
You're going to puke. I should mention that he stopped halfway after we got to the top of the mountain, and I was being whipped in the face by all these branches and stuff because I put my goggles down over my like face shield because I couldn't breathe. I was so hot. They were all fogging up. I was like, fuck it. And like halfway through, they were like $90, these goggles, because I got them to fit over my fucking huge glasses because I'm old as shit. And oh shoot, my screensaver just went on. Okay. So he stopped, and I was like, oh man, I lost my goggles, but fuck them. I'm not going back up that fucking mountain. And he was like, they're on your face. It's like, oh, fuck, of course they are. So anyway, we did this. We got to the bottom, and he was like, okay, we'll just do this natural terrain course or whatever. And I was like, okay. Another fucking hill climb, but this time it was no rocks or stumps or anything like that, like the previous one, but just that really fine sand. So I got up and I was like, okay, I'm gonna fucking motor it like I did the last time. No,
doesn't work.
Went backwards, and the fucking bike. Now, 2005 liquid cooled bike with no fan, right?
Yeah.
Landed on me. And
Sizzling
not just
hot.
landed on me, but landed on me with my head pointing down the hill and it sliding further on top of me. But by then, the guy is like,
this guy's
gone.
like, why the fuck did I go camping with this guy?
Yeah, I know. The whole time I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't know it would be like this.
I thought it'd be gentle.
The bike was flying, like sliding down the hill onto me, and I had to kind of like scurry myself out. Never in my life have I been so thankful that I was wearing a helmet, because I tell you what, it came in very handy at that time when my brain would have been crushed by the rock that I hit. Like I heard it go clunk, and I was like, "Oh, my new helmet, shit!" But I didn't go, "Oh, brain damage."
I'm dead. I'm dead.
Well, when I was trying to push that thing up the hill, I was thinking, you know what? If I pass out right now, it's going to be someone else's problem to get me off this mountain, and I'm okay with that.
I can't push. You have to carry me. We just met. It doesn't matter. You have to carry me.
I'm sorry. I pooped my pants and I barfed into my helmet.
I'm pooping right now.
I really did think that I was going to shit myself, though, because I've got this rotten tooth that I need to get pulled, and the doctors got me on so much codeine that I hadn't shit. But there was like a log poking at my anus going, let me out for like 3 days.
And you're like, no,
and then we got
camping.
there and it was like outhouses. And you know, my hatred of public toilets. Well, yeah, there was just no chance. So I didn't go before we hit the trails, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to puke. I'm going to shit myself, or I'm going to die. Anyway, so I tunneled myself out from under the bike. I got the bike sideways. It's a one-way trail. And I was like, you know what, fuck this. So I couldn't get it started again. I just got on it, put it into, like, clutched it and rolled it down the hill, and hill started it. And then I was waiting for my friend to come back because I didn't want to just leave him high and dry. So I just sat there, leaned over the bike, like, you know, like when you hold your knees to keep from puking. I was doing that. And I was like, oh God, oh my Lord. Oh. And then finally I like composed myself, and I went back. I didn't try to do the hill climb, but I just went back up to the little end of the other trail, and I waited for him there, and I didn't see him, and I was like, fuck it, he'll know to just go back.
Fuck him. I'm out of here.
I
Meanwhile,
imagined him,
he's fallen and hurt himself.
Oh, that's what I was worried
He's waiting
about.
for you.
So I know. So I was like, oh golly, I'm not going to do that hill. Someone else will find him.
It reminds me of when we were skiing in Sugarloaf when we were little kids. We ended up on a pretty fast trail, and it was like the Ritchie boys and you and I, and we were just a little bit ahead of you, and I stopped at like a trail where the trail split, and I waited and I waited and I waited, and I thought, should I go back up, or did he go a different way? And about an hour later, I saw you come down in a basket with a guy, and some asshole had like ski jumped onto you.
Yeah, he jumped right onto me. I don't think I got hurt. I just got really scared, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't going to move. They didn't put me in a neck brace though or anything.
Just one sec. I got maybe some business here.
Anyway, so I went back to
Sorry,
like
it just
campsite.
because it's going to sound weird. I just got called into work, but the patient's in a different city, so it's going to be an hour before they get here. So we had to pause, and Dan is helpfully stitching these things together.
Maybe, or no.
He's going to try. But I'm dying to hear the rest of this story. This is fucking hilarious.
I made my way back down, thinking, okay, I'm okay now. I'm okay now. But I was desperately worried that I was going to get back, and the whole family was going to be like, "Hey, we're
going for a hike.
Where's Andrew? Where's Andrew?" So I got back, and he was already there.
So he went down a different side of the hill or something.
Yeah, he must have, or just we must have passed each other or something. But moral of the story is: do take the water. Roost armor is not going to save you from the size of the boulders that are on a mountain when you're falling backwards. And
so what are you supposed to wear instead of roost armor?
Impact armor.
Impact armor. Okay, I've never seen it even. I just bought the roost armor, basically.
Yeah, the impact armor. I mean, for what you and I do at home, I don't think you even need armor.
Well, I'll tell you what, the roost armor actually saved my butt. I don't ride. There are group rides here, and you know what? You would if you were
dirt
here.
Biking or
dirt biking.
Yeah.
If you were here, we would have a lot of fun doing a group ride. I'm sure. But they're a little bit challenging, and the trails are more single track stuff. And so I thought I'll go explore them on my own, and that way I won't slow down a group. That's my big stupid, but it's like that social anxiety. I don't want to slow everyone down.
Well, that's what I was feeling as well.
So I went, I got the DRZ 400. So it's a 2003, and but it's a pretty good shaped bike. Like, it hasn't been used a lot, and I figured I ride it not super hard, but I'm heavy, so it's I'm putting enough strain on it. And I got into kind of a similar situation where I got on this trail and I couldn't get turned around. It was really tight, single track. And there were trees and boulders, and it was down in a big rut. So there was no way to get turned around. So I was basically committed to going forward. And it was way outside of my skill level. And it came up to sort of what you were describing. It wasn't a super high cliff, but it looked like a cliff, and I had to go up it. And again, I didn't have the nerve to just drop the hammer on it. There's a great YouTube channel called Enduro Kex, like Kex. And if you watch how they do hill climbs, they're really funny. They're all Romanian, and they're fucking insane. They'll do a hill climb at full speed and then just launch the bike off the top and jump off so they don't get hurt. Yeah, I know. That's how you're supposed to do it.
I know, and I'm just like, I don't have the money to fix this bike.
That's my problem. I can't fix it, so I can't do that. Anyway, I got about halfway up this hill, and I was wearing the armor. It was the only time I've ever worn it, actually, but I knew I was doing some exploring. And the bike stalled, and I tried to put my feet down, and they wouldn't touch the ground because I was on this really steep hill. So the front tire is on ground level with my feet, but the back tire is 3 feet lower than that. And I put my feet down, and I just started going backwards, and then I washed out, and I fell off the cliff backwards and landed in the trees at the bottom of the cliff. And when I stood up, a tree branch, a really big, thick branch, was stuck in the little slot in the roost armor in my back, but it never. I never felt it, but it would have definitely gone through my lung. It's man, that is awesome that I wore this today.
Yeah, the impact armor does roost as well as it's got this weird foam that's bendy when it's moving normal speed, but then if you have a high impact or if you hit something, it stiffens up. So you don't I've got a lot of armor for my road bike, but I never thought that I would need it for dirt biking.
If this is your first time listening to our true crime / paranormal podcast, it's we meander.
Yeah, I mean, it's nominally about that stuff. It's just about how shitty life can be sometimes.
I was talking to.
But anyway, we went back up I took Elijah up, and we did a few easy trails. He got freaked out, but
really, because he seems totally fearless.
Oh well, he did it, but he wanted me to go behind him and their friend's son, who's about 3 years older than Elijah, is on like a 65cc 2-stroke, so they were moving. So it was just me and him, which was kind of nice. But he just kind of put his legs out and he would kind of meander over the rocks and stuff because he's just on this little 50cc thing. So
yeah, they don't have a lot of ground clearance.
No, but like I think that was okay because he was able to keep his feet on the ground and not spill. But yeah, he wasn't a huge fan. So I'm going to find some other places that have like dedicated kid tracks for me.
Yeah.
But no, it was good. It snowed, so it got down to -6.
Snowed. I suppose it's winter there. Yeah.
Yeah, got down to -6. Now, I was in a summer Spinifex tent that we borrowed from a friend. And it's essentially just like fly net and then fly mesh, and then you put a waterproof thing over the top of it. But
oh wait, you mean you made this thing?
No. Like that's
it's not made out of Spinifex. It's made so Spinifex doesn't pop through the bottom.
It's the brand. Oh. But it's just fly net. So you put the fly, like the waterproof fly, over the top of it, but it was windy, so it was just coming in, and I bought this big queen sized air mattress, and I just set it up like my bed at home. So my ass got so cold because it was just a pillow of frozen air under me. Thankfully, it was just, you okay, Lige? Okay.
Just a thin cushion of air and bullet ants.
Yeah. So me and Lige, that's what we did. But then this poor guy who had to carry my bike up a hill, all of his plumbing in his trailer froze and exploded.
See, that's great. I mean, it's not great, but it's just like everybody's a fuck up in the story.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's camping. It always ends up costing you way more than just going to a hotel. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know what though? I didn't get hurt. I don't
what
know
did he do about the plumbing?
He's just gonna have to replace it. It's like thousands of dollars worth of damage.
Oh.
Because like he had this like instant hot water pump that used gas, so you could have hot water. And then he had running cold water and a flushing toilet and all this sort of stuff, and it all just froze up and broke. So
yeah.
he has to replace all that.
Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah, it kind of blows. And it's got like a TV aerial. It's got air conditioning. Like the whole back end comes down on a winch, so you can sit on it or you can ride your motorbikes up it. It's incredible. But yeah. The whole water sitch.
But it's full of shit.
Well, I don't know if the toilet exploded, but all the running water to it, just like would happen at our houses at home if it got down that low.
I have this dream that you and I are going to someday rent a really funny, like a motorhome, and do a One Foot in the Grave podcast road trip
on the road.
Well, I think it'd be so fun.
You know what? By the time COVID is finished, I'll have so much annual leave that we probably can do that.
Yeah, we could do that.
Like we could do a haunted Canada tour or something.
I mean, I think it'll be, I don't want to guess, late 2021 or early 2022 before everything's back to sort of some semblance of normal.
Yeah, I agree. I have no idea. And vacationing at home is not a lot of fun. Like having the occasional long weekend's nice, but
well, you went motorbiking and nearly vomited.
Well, yeah, exactly. No. But like that was fun. But if I had to do a whole week just at my house when I'm already working from home, I'd go insane. But
yeah, that's what my vacation's like. Like just home.
But right now in Queensland where I am, everything is kind of like everything's going back to normal. So you can do pretty much anything that you want. You could go to the mall if you wanted to. We choose not to.
So so the cases in Melbourne where the guard screwed all the people in quarantine.
Oh my gosh. Can you even believe?
Yes,
they had 288 cases just yesterday. So
oh my god.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's a big outbreak.
It's a big outbreak, but they've closed.
I mean,
all of
now our American listeners are listening to this and being like,
going, yeah, we had 500,000 yesterday, you dickheads.
Well, they did have 60,000 in all of the U.S. I mean, it's out of 300 37 million people, but that's still a lot in one day.
That's a lot of people. But
Even
for
if,
us, those are big numbers. But yet last night or the night before, I was dreaming because I was like, this is so bizarre that everything's kind of normal here. And I was in a mall and I was shopping, but I, for some reason, didn't speak the language. And I was just walking around. I was, I got some food. I was licking my fingers. Like, this is all my dream. And then I walked out and I was in the Wuhan wet market.
I think your dream is telling you not to let your guard down.
I know. I think so too. I was like, what the fuck? Daniel, what are you doing?
I've gotten quite fat, but I'm trying to walk. And other than walking, I've been like writing a new book and then trying to learn Italian, because just anything to keep my mind off.
Well, you should probably ditch the Italian and start learning Chinese, because honest to goodness.
How many of them are going to be left at the end of all this, really?
What? No. No.
Both countries.
They're the up and coming sort of world. What do you call it? Like world dominance or world leader? Yeah,
well, that's certainly what they're trying to do.
They're
certainly taking full advantage of this accidental virus thing that's happened.
I know.
When they accidentally weakened the West.
Oopsie daisies.
Yeah, but I've learned sto studiando il vocabolario questa settimana.
Oh, dove sta
I'm studying vocabulary. I'm studying vocabulary. I'm studying vocabulary this weekend, and then you can say sto studiando I verbi prossima settimana. I'm going to study verbs next week. But that's the limit of it.
From my first year chemistry university lab partner, I know ni hao ma, wo hen hao xi xi.
What's that last
that
one
means,
mean?
Hi, how are you? I am good, thank you.
Xi xi. Thank you. I would have thought thanking you wouldn't sound exactly the same, but not Chinese.
Well, have you seen, there are these YouTube things where they do like,
Did you say ni ho mi mao?
Ni hao ma.
Ni hao ma. That's in Wayne's World.
Yeah.
Ni hao
well,
ma.
no, that's Canton. Oh, well, maybe it's Cantonese because she's
Mountain
Cantonese.
Dew, Pepsi Cola. Hi, Binsa
The cream of Samyanggai. I don't know if that's racist now. My bad.
It's everything we're doing is racist, but I'm trying to remember what he says in the Wayne's World. I was genuinely trying to remember what he says. All I remember is Mountain Dew, Pepsi Cola, but I think what you said at the beginning was in it. The hi.
Ni hao ma.
Ni hao ma. Yeah, that's in it. That's how he answers the phone, or what he says on the phone. Benjamin. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is obviously an awesome podcast that you guys have gotten yourselves into. I saw Johnny the other day, and he said that we should just give up on the whole paranormal side of it and just
hold on.
Without. Sans.
Sans. That's French.
Sans.
Yeah.
Smells. Sans. Without 100 smells of blood. Sans. Faith. Foi.
Yep.
Liver. Foi. Fine. Foi. Fair. Foire. Hey. Foin. Hey, liver, faith, fair times. Foin, foi, 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 foi.
What's this from? Got to be TikTok.
Yeah, I saw it on TikTok.
Did you see that Amazon is not allowing its employees to have TikTok on their phones? Because
yes,
the Chinese are using it to steal all their information.
Including
turning on cameras and stuff, it sounds like. So,
well, probably. But, I mean,
So there's some poor guy in China who's watched you have a shit about 300 times at this point. Just watching Dan have a shit and laughing at TikTok videos.
Not just me. It would be millions of people.
Then he has to go take a break and go to the wet market and eat a pangolin. And then go back.
Pangolin. Oh, gross. Did I tell you that
it's no life.
pangolins were on one of my species tests at university?
Like how to operate on them?
No, it was like, what is this?
I could have done veterinary school.
Name that
What
animal.
is this animal? It's a dog. You're done. Here's your PhD.
You've done well. That's online
man.
learning. That's the newest generation of veterinarians, people. Just
Well, listen.
so you know.
You laugh at that, but so the Royal College this year, they didn't have any exams. They just did
I know.
a little multiple choice exam, and all those people are now doctors. Now, when I wrote
know.
the exam, what 15% failed. That
I know, but
15%
eventually
is now
that
out in the public.
I know, but eventually that 15% would rewrite those exams and get it.
Well, some don't.
I know, but I don't think many people. I think maybe I can think of one or two people through all 5 years of vet school that failed.
Now,
but they
I'll
didn't
tell you.
fail fifth year.
My whole life, for 5 years in radiology, was studying for that exam, for those board exams. I wasn't supposed to say I'm in radiology. Whatever, fuck it. Everybody knows. My whole life was studying for those board exams. I would work all day, come home, and study. I can't even imagine the feeling if they told you, we're just going to pass you. I don't know if I'd probably be ecstatic because the exam, I'm looking at my bookshelf and I have maybe 70 textbooks that I have memorized and committed to memory.
Yeah.
So for somebody to say, yeah, there's a pandemic, we can't do the exam. I don't know what would happen. I would just implode.
But you know what else? I don't know if this is probably not the case. I certainly hope it's not the case in human medicine. But for vet students here, they're no longer able to operate on dogs and cats before they graduate. They can. I think they get to operate on pigs.
Okay.
Because of ethics. And here's my thing. To me, a pig is a lot more intelligent and sentient than a dog.
Than a dog or a cat.
Yeah.
Especially than a cat.
Yeah.
Cats are just basically big squirrels.
A weasel. It's just a friendlier weasel.
Only allowed to operate on weasels.
But then that's just in Queensland. Some of the other ones, they don't let them use live animals at all, and they use these realistic foam dummies.
That's
and
idiotic.
I'm just like,
can you imagine the first time it's not a dummy?
Yeah. Isn't that the stupidest thing?
Like medicine's a little bit different than vet school. Like medical school, you assist in surgeries, but by assisting, they're telling you what they're doing, but you're holding just retractors or something. You know, your fingers are in there, and you've got gloves on. That's about the limit. Yeah. When you're a resident, you're participating in the surgeries. You're either holding the camera if they're doing something laparoscopic, or you're holding the back end of a wire or something, and they're teaching you how to do the surgery in the first half, and by the end of residency, you're operating. You're the surgeon, and the the staff surgeon just comes in and checks on you. I mean that's how it goes, and they supervise, and if you get in trouble or something's difficult, you call them. But now I do have a funny story about that, though. I don't know if I should tell it. I don't know.
I don't want
to give away. Yeah, I don't want to give away too much.
I'll tell you
I was in Halifax. I'll tell you, the story didn't come from Halifax, so it's probably okay to tell. But one person.
I was in Halifax. No, I was in Chicago.
One of the residents that I was working with had worked with another resident, and he had switched programs. And I was the intern, and these two guys were talking, and the guy had just
like,
come.
I'm going to be a podiatrist. No, I think I'll go brain surgery now.
Well, these were both neurosurgeons, or both general surgeons. But at the last place the guy had worked, they were doing a procedure, in a human, like if you make a longitudinal incision in their abdomen, it has to go along the side of the... It has to go on the side of your belly button, and you have to go around the belly button. And then if you reoperate, you have to go around the belly button again.
In the same direction.
In the same direction, because your belly button gets two blood vessels, one from the left and one from the right.
Yeah.
But this guy had been doing his first abdominal surgery on, without the supervisor in the room, and did the second incision, and instead of following the scar, went around the opposite side of the belly button. So when the patient woke up, they had no belly button.
It's like Kyle XY.
No belly button. Yeah. Born in a test tube. Anyway, super weird. I've seen some weird shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that they do, like, my aversion to surgery is because my first job, I was left all by myself to do surgery. So previous to that, I'd scrubbed into surgeries. We did, like, in my year, we did like full surgeries on dogs and cats. Like, that was, that's how we learned.
That's what you do. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's how you should do it. But those animals were not going to wake up. So
so did you have, like, in vet school, did you have cages of animals like dogs and cats that you raised just to use as an experiment? And then
these were ones that were, like, sent to pounds and for some reason couldn't be rehomed. So most of them were, like, really vicious. So they were dogs that were going to be destroyed at the RSPCA or wherever.
So you anesthetize them so they don't feel anything, and then you do practice surgery on them?
Yep, and then they
or
just
did you just
up.
do surgeries that the dogs needed?
No. When I was going through, well, a little bit of both. So some of them were owned patients, and we would obviously let them live. But then the dogs that were going to be destroyed at pounds, like at shelters, they would come to us. We would get there, and they'd already be sedated because they were usually really either very sick and they were going to die, or they were so vicious that you couldn't touch them. So they'd be pretty dopey when we saw them. And then we would do their anesthetics, so we would do it as if they were like a normal patient, and then we would spay or castrate them, and usually that was it. And sometimes we would do dentals on them and stuff like that, and then at the end, instead of waking them up, they would just be euthanized. So they didn't wake up. They didn't have to feel any pain or anything like that.
We did that with orphans and the elderly.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why ethically it does have some drawbacks.
There's some red flags there.
But it's not like the pigs that they're using now are being woken up and being sent off to slaughter.
No, we did we did our trauma
wasted.
surgery. There were certain trauma surgery things you had to do in order. It's called the ATLS or whatever. But you have to qualify to pass medical school, essentially. And in all the surgical specialties, you have to retrain and do your ATLS. Just like I have to do ACLS, the cardiac life support thing. I have to do it every 5 years. I think they have to do the trauma life support thing every 5 years. But we all had to do it, and it was pigs. We had an animal lab in our medical school, and it was all pigs. And it was kind of freaky. We anesthetized them. You had to paralyze them with succinylcholine. Like in humans, you would use something. Yeah. But they would get like these twitches and shakes and stuff. I felt really weird. I didn't like killing. I don't know. I'll eat an animal, no question. But I'm not a big fan of killing them.
I think it was actually part of the process of desensitizing vets as well to the fact that you have to do that every day.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it was kind of like you have to get over this hump before you can go out into practice. Do it 30 times a day. I have to say though, I never did actually push the final needle in. I always found a way to avoid it. Let's just let it wake up and suffer to death.
Oh, God. No. But
how did you kill it at the end? Like when we did it, we just turned up the drugs until the animal died.
No, we just used the normal stuff that they would use. So a barbiturate overdose.
I guess that's the same thing that we did. Yeah.
Yeah. But what's really weird is that we did have a CPR prac and we anesthetized them with the same stuff. It's just diluted. Yeah. And we had to turn everything way up so they would die under anesthetic, and then we had to get them back. So yeah, that was pretty fucked up. So yeah, I guess I can see why it's a little ethical.
On the,
A moral dilemma.
I was going to do the story tonight of Travis the chimpanzee, but why don't we do that one next time? Because I got to go in and do that stroke.
Okay.
But it was funny. They're the veterinarian, so I don't know if you know anything about the story. I don't want to give the whole thing away.
I gathered from the photo that you sent me that that's what we would be talking about, because you know that I want a chimp. Not for real, but I just want to hold one.
Did you know that lady's net worth, the owner, was $10 million? I think you have to be very rich to own a chimp in any sense. And did you know Travis was 200 pounds?
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, like some of them, you look at them, some of them, and you're like, "Oh, that one looks mean."
Yeah, really he looks like a mean monkey.
Yeah, like grumpy.
He looks like one mean ape.
Yeah, but like the babies look real cute.
I find the babies all kind of look like our friend Rob.
No. But they're super cute.
This guy we grew up with, and he doesn't have any, like, it's just weird. I think it's baby orangutans. Kind of look like Rob. They always remind me of Rob Ritchie. I don't know what it is. I think it's the long fingers, because he played guitar, and he's an amazing guitar player, but he's got those, like, long fingers, and a high forehead. He's got a small nose, too.
Yeah, maybe it's the nose, but no, they just look really sweet, and they laugh and they smile, which I think is probably the draw that people have to them, is because they have those kind of human-like emotions.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, go save your.
Did you know there's a whole internet phenomenon about people who hate monkeys?
Oh no,
it's really weird. They hate monkeys, really, and they write stories about. I think it has something to do with the uncanny divide, that they look a little bit too much like humans.
Yeah.
But people write these, like, really violent stories about what they would do to baby monkeys, and
that's terrible.
Yeah, and it sparked all this, like, controversy in Canada because some Canadian guy was doing it. It's almost like Luca Magnotta stuff, but they don't seem to be actually killing people or animals. It's just like this
I just
weird
feel like
fantasy
you can
that people have.
Afraid of something and not want to just kill it.
I had a weird thing when Jack was born, that I always wanted to squish him, not to death. I just wanted to squish his flesh.
How malleable that cranium really is.
Yeah, I just wanted to hug him, like, so hard he squished. I don't know what it was. It went away after a few weeks. But anyway, I never did it, so don't call the police.
Well, Aaron and I,
you'd like.
When we had
them
Alice,
and you're like, oh, he's so soft. I just want to squish him.
Yeah. Well, when Erin and I had Alice, she would just wail and cry. Turns out she had reflux, but it was
Erin or
all
Alice?
day. Alice, both really, but
Yeah.
Alice had reflux, and she cried day and night. And we would take turns holding her and just letting her cry at us. And we would meet. Like sometimes we would just meet. She'd be crying in the cradle or whatever. And we'd meet in the hallway, and I'd say, I had to put her down. I was feeling like I was going to throw her at the window. And she was like, I felt like that yesterday. And we were like, okay, we didn't, though. So go us. Like the little celebrations of not killing a child because they're crying all the time and you're sleep deprived. Yeah, that's parenting, basically. Yep.
There was I don't know if you've been watching. You don't watch the news. You watch TikTok and TikTok
I do watch
you.
Channel 7, like morning news, like, the happy-go-lucky news.
They probably wouldn't talk about what's going on in Canada, but my buddy Justin is in another huge scandal. He got caught. You know how there's no parliament now? So he devised this. We have a student summer jobs program in Canada where the government tops up your summer jobs payments. He devised this thing where he said he was going to pay students to volunteer, which, first of all, isn't volunteering. Fuck off. But then he got caught giving all this $1 billion contract, or $950 million contract, with a $20 million administrative fee to a charity that had been paying his wife and his mother and his brother.
Wow.
And then the finance minister who okayed it, he also had family members working for the charity.
Oh no.
And it's a major catastrophe. So I don't look, and until this guy came along, I don't care what party wins. They're all kind of the same. So you just kind of
is it election year in Canada this year?
What's that?
Is it election year in Canada this year?
Well, it's a minority government, so it could be. But the Liberals are way ahead. Justin will win again regardless. But he might have to go, have a criminal investigation against him.
He'll just pardon.
He'll pardon himself, but
yeah.
He needs a lawyer for sure. Anyway, so he got into this thing, and I'm on Twitter sometimes, and I said, geez, he really needs to step down. I don't care who steps up, and I don't care what party is in charge, but we got to get rid of this guy. I've been saying it for 5 years. He's definitely sleazy. He's crooked. He's phony. Yeah. He's a phony and drives me crazy. Anyway, it's
a shame because his dad was really great at running the country.
Well, people loved his dad, but his dad also was economically horrendous. So he drove the country into so much debt that the dollar went down to 60 cents U.S. and taxes were at 75% income tax.
I think really it's time that we just have a global economy because I don't understand where all the money is that they're in debt for.
The U.S. is
they print trillions of dollars in debt. Canada's billions of dollars in debt. I don't know.
Canada just hit $1 trillion, but what they do is they issue bonds. So this is how fucked up Justin is.
But
now you had to borrow money in order to pay CERB, like the emergency response stuff. You couldn't just let people starve. But on top of the $100 billion he borrowed for that, he also borrowed $200 billion that hasn't been earmarked. Some of it's for infrastructure. It's missing. There's all this. It's so sleazy. He basically took advantage of the pandemic. Where does the money come from,
though? Like, is there?
So your central bank prints it, but the bank prints it based on selling. So they sell Government of Canada bonds, or government of whatever country you're in bonds, and the bonds, depending on how high risk you are of not being able to pay back your debt, they are rated at a certain level of how good the bond is. So a AAA rating means you only have to pay like 0.25% interest to that bond. So the people who buy it are just people who have gigantic, massive amounts of wealth, and they just want part of it in a safety thing that only pays 0.25.
So,
but we've borrowed so much that we lost our credit rating.
So,
what's that?
If China bought all the bonds, did that mean that China would own Canada?
Well, no, you just have to pay China back at 0.25% interest.
Right, but
at a certain amount per year.
Default on those payments, is the government is a bond? Are they like? Because
what
other collateral do they have?
They don't have any. They can print money and just cause massive inflation to pay it back, which is what they'll probably have to do. But then your dollar's worth less. But Canada has lost their AAA credit rating, so they're down to AAB or something like that. And what it means is that the interest rates are higher because investors aren't going to want to buy those bonds for a low interest rate because they want a higher return because it's higher risk. So so the more fucked up we get, the more expensive it gets to service the debt, and the more money we have to print to service the debt and pay things off, and the higher the taxes go. So it's just turning into a big fucking cycle of disaster here. But nobody understands it. Nobody cares, right? Nobody understands economics because they didn't teach it to us in school. So I just gave whoever is listening to this, you now know more economics than almost any Canadian. And it took like 5 minutes. They should just give that 5-minute spiel to everybody in school at some point, but they don't.
Yeah, well, no, we did home economics, so I learned how to sew shorts. I learned how to
make boxer shorts and an egg McMuffin.
So, yeah, lessons learned.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go save a life.
Yeah, I got to go to the work.
All right. Okay. Talk to you later.
All right, love you, bro.
Love you, bye-bye.
See you guys.
Oh, I'm just going to play this real quick.
Oh, yeah. Hit us up with one last tune.
Can't neglect this gem.
I don't even think it's the one he meant to play.
Oh, I just don't care anymore.
It's a minisode, by the way. We'll do some true crime and spooky stuff next time. On One Foot in the Grave podcast.
Bye.